I'm Marshall, and I'm the old bloke in the shed. One of many, I would think. I've got a video coming up after this for you, and I hope you enjoy it. This is the new base of the Beanstalk lift. I'm going to recycle some of it. I'm going to use the base, and then we can use these holes to bolt it to it, and that will go bolt to the original bit. I'll just bring you back and forth because there's going to be a lot of sparks flying with cutting metal and everything. So I'm waiting to get the base off of that, because it's got the original 4 holes in the right place, although I'm going to put the bolts up to M12 rather than the Imperial ones that were there before. So first job, get that to bits. Well, my biggest spanner fits with dart unions. So I found a second use for it apart from the major hubcaps. So I've cut off the cross-sectional, so once I split the dart unions I'm hoping I can get a bit of leverage and get the bottoms apart, and that'll separate the base. I've cut off the plates that were across the way, and I'm hoping we get a bit of movement once I separate that dart union, that we can knock one of these out. That's the plan anyway. So give it some weldy with this. I'll bring you back with it. Originally I was just going to use the outside holes to bolt this on, but I'm just going to bore 4 holes in the middle so I can bolt everything right through. This is the original base, so we'll put it underneath and we'll bolt the new base through the old base and into the bit that's supposed to hold it. So I've got it as near centre as I can, and I'm using my template to mark out my holes. They'll be M10. I thought about putting up to M12, but I think M10 will be okay. Mind you, it was a bit heavier. Job knowing. M10 8.8 is a pretty strong bolt. Not that strong on its own. It's actually meant for a forklift, but we're going to add this strength into it. Bolted that to that, and we'll flip it over to bore the holes through the plate here. It makes this a lot stronger. You have to cut these back to here to let the forklift bit in. That's not really a problem. No, and then we may put another one up the side here or something. We'll see. Might be heavy, might be okay the way it is. And I've been digging in my bolt collection, and I found all the bolts I need instead of going and buying them like I usually do, and then I find them. Right, so I'll get this flipped over, and we've 4 holes to bore for the forklift bit. And we can take this off, cut out the bits we need, and maybe even, no, I need the fork sticking through. I might put a pipe that way just to help it, strengthen it. Right, they're actually M8 holes, but we'll put them up to M10. And the riv nuts that are on we can drill through or something. This will be the fun bit, getting past here. If you were just going to be using this with forklift, there'd be no need for this, but because I'm using it with that Beanstalk, I'm making it stronger. You can see the difference in the steel, how easy it is to bore that stuff compared to the old stuff. Right. That's one. One there. Have you got yourself one yet, Barry? Barry said he'd have to get one of them when he was up. Leave that in there. Spin it round. My back is not 100% today, so I'm just taking it easy. The good thing about this is we'll be able to forklift it, because I'm going to put the forklift bits in it. And I won't have done that about. Mind you, once it's fitted to the Beanstalk, it won't matter anyway. Right, let's give this drill a bit of a sharpen again. Different drill. That's the drill I sharpened very flat for doing the injector pipes for the David Brown. Battery's flat. I've cleaned all the rust off with the angle grinder and the wire brush, and it's a coat of Rust-Oleum black paint I put on there. This will be the one that's sandwiched. I've got the forklift bits in. Let's see, these are bolted on now and bolted through the plate. And the bolts, I've been using up all the odd bolts I have. They're M8s. I had some 4.8s I've used because that's what's supplied. So we now need to put it up on top of there, top of the beanstalk I should say. So I probably want to put all the gates on before it goes up there. It'll be a lot easier to do it here. Right. The Vevor forklift man cage is assembled with upgrades. I have got a big thick plate under it, which you'll see now, so I can put it on the beanstalk lift. I've fitted the socks for the forklift to go in. The riv nuts stick up quite a bit, but all in all it's 150 quid when the proper ones are 900. So I've upgraded all the split pins to a much bigger size because they were a bit thin. I could just pull them right out even though they were folded. So I've got the maximum size I could get through the clevis pin. When you lock a door it does lock, but could be doing with something a little better. This is a lock for the door. It goes quite tight and just lets go and just hooks down in, but it does pull it quite tight. I don't think it would come out. As you turn it, it tightens it. So that should be okay. It lifts the clevis pins at the other side. Those ones, as you can see, I've got them tied up with 2 tie wraps just to make sure they don't come out. I don't think they will. Pretty sturdy now, especially with that thicker floor on it. The black outline is the old beanstalk's floor, so that's what's under it. So I mean, you're in the thicker metal to here, whereas before it was a bit tinny, but if it had been on forks it would have been no problem, I don't think. So the next trick is get it up in the forks, get it on top of the beanstalk, bolt it down. Now M10 bolts, I've got a torque setting. £57.5 Newton meters. So if you put more than that, you're stretching them. So we will use a torque wrench to do it. Now, a couple of bolts sticking up, but I can put up with that. It's got this fairly good cage. This will be quite easy in and out of as well, because this whole thing will spin in the hydraulics, so you can always bring this side to the stairs. You'll see once it's on shortly. And then of course I painted the surface that was under here with Rust-Oleum. There's the exciting split pins they gave us. Took them all out, they're all going in the bin. Right, next job is get the David Brown going and get it up on the forklift because it's too heavy for me to lift now. And then we'll get it bolted to the beanstalk. No, yeah, beanstalk. I'll need to put the original plate back on somewhere as well. The emblem, once I paint it. Just so it looks good. Once this is on, that's it. But it can't be forklifted off. There's actually casters for it. These casters came in the pack, the lock as well. Not only the lock of wheel, the lock of rotation, which is quite good. Sure I'll find a use for them. I used the forklift on the David Brown to get it up and got it bolted on. Comes in handy, this forklift. I've got the forklift cage bolted onto the Beanstalk, and change out the bolts under here for nylock nuts rather than spring washers. I wasn't liking them very much, so I'm happier with that now. So we just need to make it forkliftable, or easier to forklift. And I may fit a fifth leg so you can keep it in a bit from what it says here. Get closer to the building. There's a bit of hole to put in. It's weird there's not a hole there. So anyway, that's where we're up to. I've put the original top back inside the new Vevor top because I wasn't happy with the railings for the Vevor top, although they would have done, but they're nothing like as strong as that one, so it's a bit of a mix of the two now. Plus you'll be inside the original design footprint when you're in it. And I've got a chain that came with the Vevor one I can put across the middle. I just didn't fancy having the safety harness clipped onto that thin walled yellow bits round the top there, but I'm not worried about the big thick stuff, so I welded it all back together again and put his nameplate back, so I'm happier with that. I've got steel for making a forklift, so we can pick it up with the forklift with the tines. I'm just not sure what I'm doing. It'll probably go under the box, because at the moment if you pick it up high it's kind of awkward and it hits the tyres, so the David Brown, so we're going to work on that as well this weekend, maybe see what the weather is. Might actually get the use of it to do something with that tree that's above the Polaris. And I've got another idea which might not work. I've got an old trailer. I'm going to try and make it like a low loader, so we can just load it onto it and then lift it with the jacks and then take it out, sort of thing. That might not work either. Anyway, ideas change every day. I've made up a base so we can forklift the Beanstalk here. I got some heavy metal and that's all welded up, and what I'm going to do is put angle iron up the corners and then angle iron across the two sides that I can bolt down, so it can be removed in case you need to get in the top, and that'll sandwich it. I don't want it to weld it to that because that's full of oil, and we need it so it can be removed as well, or at least the tops come off. It can spin as well. You can either go out that side or come this side or that side even. That's the whole box spins. So my job tomorrow, or Monday, what's this, Saturday, maybe Monday, is put an angle up the corners and some way to bolt it and lock it, and then if there's a problem we can just unbolt it. Got the original cage painted with black Rust-Oleum, looking a bit better, and the sign's looking quite good, so it's coming along. Once I get that done, that'll be ready to be used for what I need it for. A lot happier with that cage now, lots more secure and everything. I welded on the angle uprights. I pulled them in tight with a strap, and then got angle across there and 20mm bolts, 4 of them on the 4 corners. So all that's doing is pulling it up. I didn't want to weld anything onto this box because, well, it's full of oil and I don't know how thick it is. So now if we need to get into the top of it, to the motor or pump or anything, we can just undo those bolts. Same at the other side. Whether that would drop or not, I'm not sure because it's pretty tight, but it wouldn't really matter. And at the moment I'm making another bar to go across there. I have a scaffolding leg I'm going to use for a 5th jack. weld a bar across there, and there'll be a scaffolding leg that can go down and you can screw up. Just working on that tomorrow probably. Right, that's that. Getting there. I went up on it yesterday and just to see how it did it. The biggest problem is getting it close enough to the stuff you want to work on. But with the extra jack, we should be able to bring it in one. It tells you here. You can go up 3 rams in there and 2 rams in there. Well, leaving in there would make a difference. The other thing I can do is I can put the forklift into it and just leave it in it, and that'll make it much more secure. That's the David Brown picking the forklift and it up. I would say it's about the same as a pallet of slabs, but if the forks were in a bit, it might help a wee bit. But when I picked a pallet of slabs up, it was similar to what that is, just by the way the front wheels went up. So that'll let me move it about easily. I've been cleaning the paint off the David Brown dash. It took a wee while. Ongo grinder and a wire brush, and then a wee drill and a brush. So it's looking not too bad. Like most folk, I did the back as well. So might get it painted this weekend. Now that I've got paint, been giving the David Brown dash a coat of white. I think it's orchid white, the paint. It's actual David Brown paint colour. A couple of runs, but right at the bottom, so be okay. It's not stunning, but it's better than it was. This is the dash for David Brown. It's been painted. It may get painted again. But I want to put all the bits back in it and put it on the tractor. The sticky out bit at the bottom, that's going to mount a fuse box on there at some point. That'll be new, and get rid of the fuses that are in behind with the spaghetti you'll see in a minute. So let's try and put it back together. What I might do at a later date is get new instruments so they've got lights in them. These old ones don't have any lights in them. Try and keep as much of the original as possible. I did paint in behind the dash as well, as you can see. Didn't need to, but just did it. It may need touched up in the future. Bit squint. Not sure if this fuel gauge actually works or not because the sender's gone in the tank. It's possible it does. Just pop them in for now. I went and looked at another Polaris, a newer one. Oh me, what a bucket. It was 3 years old, but the first 3 years it spent in Shetland, so everything was rusty. Needed a new exhaust to start with. Polaris exhaust about £1,500. And 2 back tyres, and a couple of £100. And it had VAT on it, so it would have been quite expensive. Now the temperature gauge works, I know that. And we find the right wire for it. Look at the rust in there. So I declined his offer of the Polaris, but they're a Kubota dealer, so he said sometimes get second-hand Kubotas in. But I don't know if I'm going to go down that line or sell the Polaris, sell my car and get a, one of these crew cab things. Well, they're going to be coming out. There's going to be lots of them shortly because of the new tax laws. Polaris is handy. Right, spaghetti. This is the filter warning light for the hydraulic filter. It's got a little rheostat in here, so I kept the wires for it. It lives in that hole there. I don't know if it actually works or not. We'll stick a battery charger on it and see if it lights. Just putting some loom wiring tape on it. Keep it all together. A couple of diodes on it. It's maybe so the current only flows in one direction. Don't honestly know, so I can't tell you. I'm just going to use a small Jubilee clip behind the light to stop it from coming out now. That'll keep it from falling out. What's the next one? Green, that's the indicators, isn't it? That should hold it for now. This power socket, it's in where the ignition switch should be. That's that. That just goes to the starter motor. Just marking where the off position is. That's the indicators. I think that's the oil light, ignition oil filter. That's not in right. We'll revisit that one in a minute. 12 volt. This is your headlights, which we may need to get a new switch because I broke the cap that goes on. It's got this pin in it, but I mean the whole switch isn't that expensive. The new ones, I had a look at them. They're £12 or something. Good, we'll keep everything original if we can. Now it's got a flat on it to go with the cutout here. And the hole's that big it can go round in circles. Yeah, nice one, David Brown. Making a lovely mess of the new paint. Okay, this is the indicator flasher. This is the indicator switch. I do have the knob for it, but this thing was off and on so many times I thought it was going to get broken, so I took it off and put it to one side. What do you think that clips into that? Right. sure where that bracket went. I think I did take photos. Sitting there for now. So the greens are the lives, if I remember it. No, the browns are the lives, and I can't actually remember, to tell you the truth, what's what. Oh, got another bit here. It's for the indicators. I think that one here. It definitely looks like it's for a round piece. This is part of the indicators as well, but where it goes, I don't know. Just leave it in the back for now. Stick it in the fuel gauge. Now the temperature gauge works, I know that. That's the plug that goes to the front of the tractor. But I'm not using it at the moment. I think that's power to the browns. It supplies everything. And I need the air squire. You've got a couple of fuses under here, one in the brown, one in the green. I think greens are power as well. Yeah, because they come from the alternator. Now that'll tidy that bit up a bit. Where all the wires go, I don't know. There's another fuse there. 1, 2, 3. Right, that's more or less it all together. I'll stop you there and see if I can get it onto the tractor.